This is a brief tutorial aimed at showing how Excel can be manipulated and utilized to analyze student assessment data. We're going to take a look at a sample class of 10 students. They've recently taken an assessment with 30 questions on it, and you can see the scores, the raw data that they receive. First thing we're going to do is take a look at converting those into percentages for them. In Excel, we're going to use a simple formula. So we use equals the number correct divided by the total number of questions, which was 30, to come up with my percentage. If it didn't come up as a percentage, but rather decimal places, you'll want to convert that to percentage. The way you do that is to right-click in the cell, choose Format Cells, click on to Percentage, and make sure that your decimal place typically is at 0. Okay, now because Excel will remember, it's a fairly smart program for knowing how we want to utilize the copy and paste functions. We're going to copy this cell and paste it for the remaining students, and you can see it automatically does it depending upon the number they have correct. Next thing we want to do is to order these from highest to lowest or lowest to highest, it doesn't matter. I'm going to select the whole row rather than just the percentages. If I do just the percentages, it may switch them up and not match the appropriate student. So I'll highlight the whole row. I'm going up to Data, and I will be sorting this with a custom sort. Because right now it says to sort by column A, which is the student names, I want it by column B, which is the percentages. So I'll switch that, press OK. Great, now I have them in order. So the next thing I'm going to take a look at is my mean for this test. Mean is the same as the average. With that, we're going to use a formula. This button here will get us to our formulas, and there's our average that we want. So we'll double click on that. The average of these values, I'm going to highlight all of them, press enter, and there's my mean for this test. Again, if it wasn't in percentages, I would just use that right click to change that. Next is the median. Again, into my formulas, there's median, double click it, my 10 scores, enter, and you can see there is a median of 78% for this test. On to my mode. Following again, same formula, there's mode. Highlight my 10 scores. Enter. We had a mode of 73. My range, which is the highest, the difference between the highest and lowest score, again, I'm going to use a simple formula of equals my highest minus my lowest score. And you can see there is a huge range in this test of 50%. Standard deviation, thankfully, there's a formula for that. There it is. Double click it. Highlight my 10, enter. Oh, didn't quite work, so we'll delete and try it again. Standard deviation, my 10, enter. There we go. Fairly tight standard deviation. All right, next I'm going to take a look then at my frequency polygraph to see where students were typically landing. I know in looking at my scores there was nothing lower than a 47, so there were 0 from 1 to 10, from 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, and 1 score from 41 to 51. My next set of scores were 4 in the 70s, so again 0 there, 0 there, 4 in the 70s, 2 80s, and that left 3 90s. And I'm just going to do a very simple chart now for this. I'll highlight my totals with my headings at the top. I'll be going into charts, and I'm just going to do a simple bar graph for this one. The simple clustered column. I'll shrink down my frequency. I probably don't even need this legend. I'll delete it right out. And I'm just going to slide this a little bit over. So you can see for this test that most of my students fell up in the higher range, but I can definitely see that there's one student that I'm going to need to provide some additional supports. When I take a look at my test, I might be able to break down and ascertain that either students have really understood the concepts that I was testing effectively, or I need to look at a different assessment.